Hello friends and welcome to the light. Today we will be reviewing the new Enshrouded update as well as discussing things we'd like to see. Let's get started. A new area called the Hallowed Halls has been added. I believe these places were made with the multiplayer aspect of the game definitely in mind. I also believe this place was designed for the typical trio: tank, healer, attack type, all together working as a team, as it is most beneficial to take on the groups of enemies and kind of group them, like make them into one singular group rather than what they were like for me. From the gameplay footage, you'll see just what I'm talking about. If you go and check out my live video that I recorded, there is a new crafting individual or survivor who I found surprising, kind of, although he's rather thematic. This is great because you can craft new items like the new arrows that hit a group of enemies when they explode, but don't really make like a big old explosive pattern, or the new blocks that you can craft which allow you to make new foundations and or walls. In my live stream, I got several drops on these enemies, and the enemies were primarily level 10, and I don't know if I was just off my game that day or if they buffed them. They kicked the crap out of me. There was a lot more of them than there were of me, and I only died about 2 or 3 times, but it still took me a little over an hour to take down the first dungeon, which was only level 10, and I was level 17. This game has a weird difficulty cap, I will say. The enemies, when you start out, like level 10 or so, like the level 10 enemies or so, aren't really that difficult comparatively, and so you kind of get used to being able to take down things that are a little higher level than you, and then the game, I would say, somewhere in the mid-game, kind of quickly knocks that out of you. So I went into the new Hallowed Halls. I was expecting to not find too many enemies, because out in the open world you didn't really find too many enemies, and even in the dungeons, the little mini dungeons we have, you didn't really find too many enemies, but I was surprised, alright. There was a couple jump scares in there for you too. The new enemies are pretty cool, and they seem to be exclusively for the Hallowed Halls. And while they are made for that dungeon, I have yet to see them outside of it. Granted, I've only done the one dungeon, and in finishing the first dungeon I got the key for the next one, and also the location for it. The crafting system has been given a couple of quality of life changes. For instance, the magic chests that we have, you can now access them from the crafting stations, and that makes it way more convenient and saves a lot of time. There's also one interesting quality of life change they did where you can sit in chairs, so I guess you can enjoy a meal with your friends while you are setting up the new groups of things to be made. You can make things in multiples now. I've only seen multiples of 10 so far, but I'm not too terribly in, like I said. I'm only about 10 or so hours into the game, as I recall. It's kind of fun. The most notable multiplayer change I found was the ability to ping areas. While you can't necessarily communicate with, say, text chat or voice chat, the ability to ping areas is a good starting point, I would say. However, voice chat is still pretty wanted and desired. And speaking of things we want in the game, I would love to see a quality of life change where the craftsmen are able to craft higher quality items as long as they meet certain requirements. So for instance, let's say if you use one of the survivors X number of times, you'll get Y amount of XP with that survivor, allowing them to up their game and allowing you to craft the next tier of items. I think that it would probably be a steep thing. Crafting things in general isn't necessarily too difficult, so it would be a good breath of fresh air in that regard. The skills didn't really seem like they were changed too much. I use an archer. I didn't really see any need to change anything there. While I would like a better variety of arrows, again, I am mid-game. I just honestly want to see explosive arrows, so I can't wait till I get to those. The poison arrows are great, and the new special arrows are even better. Having the ability to attack a whole group with a relatively low crafting cost, I'm particularly thrilled. So overall, the improvements towards this game I find are great. With the Hallowed Halls, and definitely the great challenge that they are, I'm not sure I'm going to go to the next level of Hallowed Halls just yet. I'm probably going to go build up some gear and my definite ammo supply so that when I take on the next one, I am not going to run out of arrows like I did in this last one. Honestly, it's really what took me most of the time, is I ran out of arrows because I didn't prep right. Because again, I had no idea what I was going into. I didn't consider the fact that they would take more than 500 arrows to take down. All that being said, I'd like to know what you guys most like about this update and what you guys would love to see changed in future updates. I look forward to discussing it with you in either my Discord or the comment section, and I hope you have a beautiful day.